Alright, what's up guys? We're back. Today we're going to be doing some sound design with Serum. We're going to learn how to turn this into this. And with a little bit of effects and some processing, we're going to turn it into this. Alright guys, let's get right into it and hop into Cubase over here. So here we are in Cubase, and we've got an initialized Serum, which sounds like this. And we've also got a little kick bass that I prepared, really simple stuff. We're using the kick from the last tutorial, which just has a little basic EQ. And we have a quick bass line, which I'll just show you. So we've got an EQ cutting some odd harmonics. We've got a basic EQ doing a little low cut and cutting out some of this mid-range to leave some space for the kick. And in this case I've actually got a little instance of some distortion, and I've got an LFO tool. So we'll listen to that after. Let's get right into the sound. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put this to analog, and we'll go to basic shapes because we're going to want to get a sine wave. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into spectral, and we'll choose, I don't know, I tend to like these ones at the bottom here. Let's try Squelchy FM because we're going to make an FM anyways. And so now we'll set this up. We'll try and do FM from B. And we can see we've kind of already got an FM sound here. So make sure you're not playing that high note. I went down 2 octaves just on my keyboard here, because if not it'll sound like that. We want that. So the next thing we'll try and do is maybe sharpen it up. So we can use asymmetrical plus, which will basically seems to shift everything to the left. And it gives us much more high frequency information. So let's try that. Let's also just kind of play around a little more. We'll see if we can make an FM tone that we like even more. Next I'm going to turn on the filter over here. We're going to set it so that it passes on top of both oscillators A and B. And instead of a 12 dB per octave low pass filter, I'm going to switch it to 24. I'm going to pull it just all the way down there. I'll show you why in a moment. Now we're going to come over to global. And the reason we're going to do that is because we want to access sample and hold modulation. And where that is in Serum is in this matrix tab, global tab, and it's called Chaos Oscillator. So we're going to turn on BPM sync, we're going to turn on sample and hold. We'll set the rate to change at 1/16. And we're going to come over to our matrix. We're going to set Chaos 1 as our source, and our destination is going to go to what we said, filter cutoff. So let's just push that all the way up, and we'll hear what we got. Okay, pretty cool. Okay, I'm gonna try and get maybe a little bit of movement on that wavetable position because I kind of like that. By default, I kind of just save my first two LFOs for something other than this type of use. So I'll go to LFO 3. I'm just gonna make a straight ramp upwards and just a little bit of movement here. Maybe to go over a course of 2 bars. And we have it set so that whenever we hit a new note, it continues from the last position it was. So it gives us kind of feeling that every time the note hits, it's slightly different. So the next thing we'll do is we'll maybe put some distortion. Maybe we'll turn down the drive and the mix of that one. Alright, so that was kind of the first step. We're kind of at a rough version. Let's start just putting some basic EQ and maybe just tweak it a little bit more. So let's see what we got. Okay, so first we're going to do is a nice low cut or high pass filter. We'll just go to maybe 125 for now. Let's maybe try and add some resonance also. And we'll maybe add another little delay, kind of thinking something really short. Maybe even 16th, let's see. Not so much feedback. Let's try and add some multi-band compression. You could even try put a little reverb, maybe a hall, medium size, put a bit of low cut, and we'll drop the mix. Alright, so that would be kind of the first level of the sound. Let's draw out a MIDI note. I've got a bass line here in D sharp. So I'll just draw out a couple bars of D sharp. And let's see what else we can do. I'm going to drop that a few dB. And let's see what we can do to process that, maybe make a couple different versions and turn that into a cool sequence. Alright, so now we're at the final step where we're going to look at how we can process this and maybe make it a little bit cooler and see if we can make a sequence out of it as well. So let's maybe try something like Looperator, and we'll just solo it. Maybe go through some of the presets, see if we can get some kind of randomized parts, and we only want one little slice of something that we like and that we find cool, and we just want to kind of gather a couple of those and see if we can make different sounds out of the same sound, if that makes sense. We're going to bounce those in place, and then we'll mute, go back to our MIDI version here with Looperator open, and we'll make some new versions, like I said. Okay, let's just see what we can do with those for now. So the next step would be to cut out only the best parts and the parts that you want to use out of each one of those renders or bounces. Okay, so let me just have a look at that. I'll try and sequence them around. I'll fast forward it, and we'll see what we can come up with just using those sounds that all came from the same one lead. Cool, so let's check it out. Alright guys, so as you can see, we kind of just pick each sound one by one, slice out only the cool parts, and then you really just got to get into like the nitty gritty, and you got to go section by section and really just move stuff around. I sliced a lot of these leads up, made little repeats by using just the first slice, repeating it with fade outs. This first sound here has a delay on it, which is maybe a little bit long actually. So we've got some like delays. This one, originally I'm not using it in the sequence, but I had put a bit crusher and a phaser on this sound. A lot of these are stretched out and pitch shifted, so you just kind of gotta work the individual sounds, and like I said, eventually you'll come up with a sequence if you start really chopping stuff and placing it around. There's no easy way to do it except for to just take the time and don't give up until you get a cool section, then move on to the next section, because if not, you're going to copy paste something that you'll want to change later. So we'll go through them one by one. This is the first sound. Here's the second one. And finally the last one. Okay, now we'll play them all together. And now in the sequence, I've actually got that playing with the original sound, the sample and hold kind of randomized lead, playing it underneath, and we have that sequence on top. So we get this. So, to complete the video, we've got the whole sequence with the original lead in Serum that we had made playing. I've added a little bit of percussion, and on this last little 4 beats, we've dropped out the bass, and I just made a small little kick fill. So let's listen to that from the top with everything playing now.